Real YouTube is changed the brush stroke that they used to paint on their beautifully made intro. I don't like this one very much. I thought it'd be funny, but it just was bad. Hello, it's me. Why do I always say hello, it's me? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I say that. Anyway, so we haven't done a tier list in a little bit, and I thought, okay, let's do some tier list stuff. You know, like I like tier lists. I think they're fun. And I was thinking about what I could do the tier list on. Now, there's actually a lot of tiers here. I'm actually gonna quickly, boop, 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 boop. Cool. So we have some tiers here. We have some Pokemon here. Now, these Pokemon may not look familiar to you if you started Pokemon in Generation 8. And the reason that they're not familiar is because they are all the Pokemon that are not currently obtainable in the games. By all the Pokemon, I'm obviously only talking about final evolutions here. Yeah, like Pokemon like Kakuna and Weedle aren't included, but there's still a good bit of them. So yeah, these are all the Pokemon who are not currently in the games, but some of them will surely be added in the Crown Tundra, which is coming relatively soon, I think. And who knows, like, about the rest of them. But I thought we could talk about how good these Pokemon are competitively, and like how much of an impact they would have on the game if they were legal. So, sorry. Yeah. So let's go through these. There's a lot of Pokemon here. I'm not gonna go super in depth on all of them just because there's like a lot. But some of them, like, we have a whole range, right? There's some great Pokemon who are currently obtainable, and there's some very bad Pokemon who, even if they were obtainable, we wouldn't really be using. So, I'm fairly certain this list is comprehensive. Yeah, there's Garchomp. I couldn't find Garchomp, and I was like, yeah. Anyway, first up, we have some bad Pokemon. Beedrill is really bad. They gave Beedrill a Mega Evolution to try and make it good. It was still bad. That being said, there was a time where I was testing Beedrill and considered bringing it to Nationals, but then I didn't bring it to Nationals, and then I won Nationals, so that was the right decision, as it turns out. Its stats are terrible. Even its Mega form wasn't very good. In singles, I think it's a bit better because like you don't have as much Intimidate. But yeah, like in doubles, especially without a Mega Formy, like this, it's just really bad. Pidgeot's another Pokemon that's really bad that they gave a Mega Formy to. It's not a good Pokemon. There's really nothing going for it. Like its stats are bad. It has like Tailwind and like Heat Wave, and that's kind of it. You pretty much would never want to use this thing competitively. Its Mega Formy you could justify in certain like Gimmick teams. Like, for example, you could try to get No Guard onto a Sheer Cold Pokemon by using Roleplay, like Roleplay Abomasnow or Roleplay Smeargle, to copy No Guard. So it wasn't like... I would probably put Mega Pidgeot like higher than regular Pidgeot, but regular Pidgeot's just awful. Raticate is also really, really bad. I don't really have that much to say about it. Like, I think it gets Guts, so like in theory you could do Stab Facade with Guts, Flame Orb, but like, yeah, it's really bad. Fearow also really bad. I kind of forget Fearow is a Pokemon, and yeah, I don't like it. Arbok, I'm going to put into D tier. I think actually Arbok is okay. It's a poison type, so it's good against fairy type Pokemon. It has Glare, it has Coil. It's definitely pretty bad. Like, D and F tier are both really bad Pokemon, but yeah, like Arbok is definitely a good bit better than some of these other Pokemon down here. Nidoqueen I think is actually pretty good. I'm actually going to put Nidoqueen in the B tier. It actually won an international, or maybe got second in 2018, I'm forgetting. But yeah, it actually like had some play, and I think with Dynamax it could be kind of strong. Like, the thing about the Nidos is that their ability Sheer Force gives them a power boost, and they have really good coverage moves. So oftentimes people will run Life Orb Sheer Force. Sheer Force means you don't take the passive damage of Life Orb, and it boosts your moves. So they actually, both Nidos hit pretty hard. And they have great coverage between Earth Power, Ice Beam, Sludge Bomb, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, just to name a few. Normally it's Ground, Poison, and Ice are the coverage moves of choice. The thing is that even though, like, so we don't really have good offensive poison types in any format. Genjar is always the best one, or is typically the best one. Sometimes Muck, Alolan Muck was pretty good in some formats, but I think the Nidos could be okay in a Dynamax format. I think they're Pokemon that on the one hand they benefit a lot because they, like, Nidoqueen is kind of bulky, but Nidoking is not very bulky. And they have good stabs with Ground raising their special defense if it maxes, and Poison raising special attack. I'm sorry, Venusaur and Amoonguss are the best poison types, but offensively, like, Venusaur plays more like a grass type than a poison type. The thing is that when you Dynamax, you lose Sheer Force, and I think, so meaning you're taking Life Orb, Recoil, and the relative power advantage is, like, not as much as other Pokemon because you're losing the Sheer Force boost that you were getting before, and their offenses aren't that good on their own. They're decent with Sheer Force, but without it, they're not that strong, so... Yeah, I don't think it would be amazing, but I definitely think it has potential. Oh, I should put some background music on. Too loud. way too loud. Oh, you guys can't even hear that. Hang on. We're doing it live. Huh. Weird. Okay, I don't really know what's going on. Well, okay, no, you guys can't hear background music. It's fine. Anyway, moving on. Nidoking, I genuinely feel is like a little worse than Nidoqueen. I'm going to put it in the C tier. Generally, the bulk that Nidoqueen has is like very, very, very helpful. And Nidoking, although it's slightly faster and slightly stronger, it actually doesn't benefit that much from it. Like, the bulk is typically thought to be better than the offensive, yeah, in most cases. Or maybe it's Nidoking that did well. I don't remember now. Parasect, I'm going to put in the D tier. It's not a good Pokemon by any means, but it's not an awful Pokemon either. It has both Spore and Rage Powder, so it's kind of like a Moongus Light. If we were playing a format where, like, if Parasect was legal, I think it would see some play in the current format, so I'm going to put it in a D tier, not F tier. I also think Venomoth isn't terrible either. It has Tinted Lens. It also has, I believe, Wide Lens with Sleep Powder, and it also gets Quiver Dance. There was a cool strategy that I know of where, like, you could skill swap Tinted Lens onto Kyogre, and then your, like, Water Spouts, it didn't matter if they resisted it, they were still dying, so I thought that's kind of funny. But other than that, it's not a great Pokemon. I think it gets Rage Powder, but I'm actually not positive because it sees almost no play. Primeape is not great. I'm going to put it in the F tier. It's just not a good Pokemon. It has Defiant and Close Combat. Like, it has some things going for it, but its bulk is so atrocious. And, like, Choice Scarf Pokemon, which is typically what you're going to run if you're running Primeape, are not super good in the current format, so I don't think it would see much play. Victory Bell is slightly better. Like, it's a Chlorophyll user. It gets Weather Ball, it gets Leaf Storm, it gets Sludge Bomb. Like, it's kind of like Venusaur, except if you were, like, the stats are worse in general, which hurts it a lot. But it's, like, very much like Venusaur Light. It's probably better than Vileplume, so I don't think it's a terrible Pokemon by any means. I just think it's a bad Pokemon, so we'll put it in the D tier. Jolem is not very good. That's an F tier Pokemon. Dodrio as well, not very good. F tier. You probably are expecting me to put Dugong in the F tier, but it has one niche, which is that it's a really good Perish Trap Pokemon, and the fact that it's a very bulky Perish Song Pokemon that gets Fake Out and Encore and Disable and a couple other support moves. I don't think I can justify putting it much higher than D tier, but like, for me, this might even be a C tier Pokemon, personally. Like, I've used Dugong before in Perish Trap teams, and it's actually not bad at all. So, Dugong of the D tier is probably the highest one in here right now. Muck, I don't think is very good. Like, maybe it's probably D tier. Like, it's not awful. It's pure poison. It's just that it's so much worse than Alolan Muck. Hypno's relatively bulky, but it's not a good Pokemon. D tier. Electrode's garbage. D tier. Or F tier, excuse me. Jinx is not great. D tier. It has, like, some support moves, and, like, it gets Skill Swap with Dry Skin, which, like, in theory you can use, like, some gimmicks with. Like, you can make, Dry Skin some Water-weak Pokemon, right? And it might even get Freeze Dry, which should be pretty good here, and, like, it would be really strong against Lapras, for example. So I don't think it's awful. It gets Lovely Kiss, which is a stupid move, but, gets some play. But yeah. Omastar and Kabutops are both Swift Swim users that are overshadowed by better Swift Swim users, but they're not terrible. Like, if you had to use these Pokemon, you could definitely make it work, and you could probably win some games with them. Aerodactyl is not a bad Pokemon at all. It's a really fast Tailwind setter. I actually think it might even be B tier. Like, if Mega Aerodactyl were legal, I'd consider putting it in B tier, but it's unlike Whimsicott, who's like a really good support Pokemon. Aerodactyl kind of struggles because it doesn't have great supporting traits outside of Tailwind and Wide Guard, but Wide Guard isn't even that good this generation, so most of the time your best support option is just going to be clicking Rock Slide and hoping you flinch things, maybe Taunt as well. But with Dynamax, like, flinching isn't even that valuable anymore, or, like, Rock Slide isn't even that, like, consistent of a flinch mechanic anymore, so yeah, I think it's C tier, not a bad Pokemon by any means. Articuno is, I really wish Articuno was good. I do think it's better than a lot of the Pokemon here, personally, but I don't think that it's good enough that you could justify using it. In most cases, like, I feel like of these three, Articuno is probably the worst. It's, like, its stats are really good, but its typing and move pool are really, really bad. And the 4-time, like, the weaknesses just kill it. Weakness to electric, weakness to rock, weakness to fire. Those are really bad weaknesses to have in a format, like, especially the 4-times weakness to rock. It's just, like, yeah, it's just not good, unfortunately. Zapdos is a really good Pokemon. I think that's going to be our first A tier Pokemon, but maybe it should be S tier. I'm gonna come back to Zapdos. It's like, honestly, with Dynamax, I think it would probably be S tier. You could actually run a flying type stab, potentially, thanks to Dynamax. And, like, you can run offensive Zapdos with Heat Wave, Thunderbolt, flying move, Detect. You can run support Zapdos with Tailwind and Roost if it still gets Roost. I'm not sure. I'm actually not even sure if it gets Tailwind, but it should be a really good Pokemon. Phenomenal stats. And wait, would Static Zapdos be legal? I think Static Zapdos would be legal thanks to the tutor thing. Was Static Zapdos ever legal? Am I crazy? I don't remember. But yeah, so I think this thing could definitely be really, really strong. This is one of the strongest Pokemon that I think could be added. And if you think about it in the current format, like Electric, it only is really weak to Rock and Ice. So it's pretty difficult to like kind of break through it. And yeah, especially like there's so many things you can do with it, and Tailwind's so valuable. And even if you just like didn't run Tailwind, even if you ran like Discharge or Thunder Wave, or just having a bulky Pokemon that can consistently output damage, I think is really strong. So I definitely expect Zapdos would have done well. Moltres is really bad. It might be worse than Articuno. I'm really not sure between the two of these. They're both pretty bad, relative to their legendary status, at least. So Moltres, it can hit somewhat hard, and it is a decent Sun abuser, but you'd never use it over Charizard, pretty much. It's just kind of bad Charizard. So like, it's not awful, but it's pretty bad. Dragonite. So I'm actually gonna put Dragonite kind of high. I think in theory Dragonite gets some new moves. And I think it also benefits a lot from Dynamax. Like Max Airstream, Max Dragon are really good moves on Dragonite. And Inner Focus was changed so that it can't be intimidated. So now you can actually run Fly Dragonite and get a one-turn move and a Pokemon that's immune to Intimidate. So I think this thing would actually be pretty strong if it was legal. I'm not so... Like, Dragonite has never really shown in VGC. It's had appearances here and there. It's definitely been strong at times, but it's definitely had niche uses that people have made it work. There have been games that Dragonite has won, but in general, it's never been considered a great VGC Pokemon. I'm really curious how an Inner Focus Dragonite, now that it's immune to Intimidate, would function, because I do think it could be good. I really like Meganium, but it's not a great Pokemon. It has All My Friends Are Dead syndrome. It's got great bulk, but it can't do anything except sit there and like stall. And in VGC, that's not very valuable. I think Typhlosion's a bit better. You can run Scarf Eruption, and that's pretty valuable. It wouldn't be great in a Dynamax format, in my opinion, but it's definitely better than Meganium. And actually, in Dynamax format, maybe Feraligatr is actually okay. Like, I never really liked Feraligatr, but like, maybe Dragonance plus Dynamax is pretty strong. I'm also going to put Furret in the C tier because it actually gets Follow Me. It's one of the few Follow Me users. So I think, for example, if Furret were currently legal, you could definitely justify using it in Series 6 because Togekiss is banned. Like your other redirectors are like Clefairy, Amoonguss, like Furret I don't think would be awful. It's like it has some things it can do. Maybe it gets Yawn, like I know it gets Helping Hand. I don't think you would run it over Clefairy, but maybe there's some justification, like Super Fang or something. I feel really bad about Ledian because it's just like it's so bad. It makes me feel like I feel bad for it, honestly. It's like they gave it Iron Fist, and I think the base attack is like 55. So it's just awful. Ariados is also pretty bad, but at least it gets Rage Powder. It does get Rage Powder. Yeah, this thing is bad, but not awful. Crobat, I think, would actually be kind of good. It's a really fast Tailwind user. It's a really fast Taunt user. Great speed stat. And again, it benefits from the Inner Focus changes in that now you can run Brave Bird and you won't ever be intimidated, so maybe that's actually valuable. Tailwind, Haze, Super Fang, Taunt, Brave Bird, those Hypnosis. It has a bunch of pretty good support moves, so I think it's actually like a pretty legitimate Pokemon, and I think it'll be fun in the current format. Ampharos isn't terrible, but it's pretty terrible. It's low tier. Jumpluff actually isn't a bad Pokemon. It won in Nationals back in 2016, and it might have won some stuff in 2019 as well, if I recall. It's like a Rage Powder, Sleep Powder Pokemon. It's kind of like fast, inconsistent Amoonguss, because basically you could Sleep Powder before your opponent's move. It was used in 2019 and 2016 paired with Groudon, because you could Sleep Powder and then attack with Groudon, and it was really like Chlorophyll Jumpluff outspeeds everything. So it may even get Tailwind in the current format. Like, I'm not sure. It's not a great Pokemon, but it's not a terrible one either. And I think like next time restricted Pokemon come around, it would probably be pretty good. Oh boy, there's a lot of Pokemon left. Sunflora, I'm sorry, Evan, but this thing is F tier. It's actually garbage. They gave it Solar Power, which is like not awful, but it's really bad. Unknown has no current moves it can use. They removed Hidden Power, which was Unknown's only move, so that's F tier. Girafarig is F tier, not very good. Fortress is F tier. Granbull is D tier. It gets Intimidate, and it's a pure Fairy type with good coverage moves. It's not awful. It's not good, though. But for sure, it's not very good. Ursaring. Ursaring's probably D tier. It's not terrible. I think it gets Toxic or Quick Feet or something, and like Stab Facade or something like that. But certainly not very good. Macargo is really bad. Terrible defensive typing. Rock and Fire, 4 times weakness to water and 4 times weakness to ground, in addition to weaknesses to fighting and rock. It's just pretty terrible. And the stats are bad, and the move pool is okay, but the stats don't like really let it shine. Not a good Pokemon. Houndoom, also a bad Pokemon. Mega Houndoom is actually okay. Like, I would put, if Mega Houndoom was on this list, I'd put it probably C tier. because Solar Power plus Houndoom is actually pretty strong, but it's not legal, so F tier. Donphan, another Pokemon that I think is actually pretty good in singles, but pretty awful in doubles. So that's pretty, like, I don't know, like, it's got really bad special defense, and that's a big deal in doubles. I'm going to put Stantler in D tier. Personally, I think Stantler you can do some stuff with, because it's at least for a time, it was the only skill swap plus Intimidate user, meaning if you had a competitive Pokemon, like, people are always commenting about competitive and Defiant, and they always are like, hey, Wolfey, like, you should just, I use, like, Bulldoze, and I drop my Milotic speed stat and give it +2 special attack. And it doesn't work that way. You can't actually activate, you can't side activate your own competitive or Defiant. So if I, charm my Milotic, I don't get any boost for that. If I charm the opponent's Milotic, I would. So if you have a competitive or Defiant Pokemon that you want to boost, one of the only ways you can do that, you can ensure that it gets boosted, is to run something like Skill Swap Intimidate. So Stantler's one of the Pokemon that can do that, as it gets Skill Swap Intimidate. So just for that, I think it also gets Trick Room. Like, it's not awful, it's just bad. Like, it's a gimmick, but it's, not awful. I'm going to put Smeargle in the A tier. Learning every move is especially scary now that we have even scarier moves in this generation that were introduced. Yeah, Smeargle's always a nightmare. Spore, Follow Me, Fake Out, Helping Hand, Spiky Shield, Dark Void for a time, Crafty Shield. I bet people would even run Ally Switch knowing that in this generation. It's a terrifying Pokemon. I would love to never have to deal with it ever again, but yeah, Wide Guard, Fake Out. It's just, it learns every move, so I could literally list every move and Smeargle would learn it, except for Dark Void. It no longer learns Dark Void. It's an awful Pokemon. I hope it never comes back, but it's objectively very good. It might even be S tier, depending on format. I think Raikou would actually be pretty good. A or B tier for sure. I am going to say Raikou A tier here. I think it benefits a lot from Dynamax, a fast electric type Pokemon with Calm Mind that can set its own electric type terrain. I think would be pretty strong. So yeah, I think Raikou is kind of, it appears every once in a while, but it's normally only illegal in other, like in formats with other good electric types like Zapdos or Thundurus or Tapu Koko. But yeah, I mean, I think Raikou actually could be pretty good because Dynamax allows it to kind of get over that. I feel like Raikou is always like just barely not doing enough damage, and yeah, it also benefits a lot from some of the new changes. Like, for example, Aura Sphere Raikou. Oh, wait, no, that doesn't work. Never mind. Because it deletes the moves. But yeah, I mean, I think that Raikou is consistently just underperforming in terms of damage. And with Dynamax and setting your own electric terrain and maybe, like, Rising Voltage or something, like, it would be pretty good. I think Entei is also A tier. Entei, I feel like, is less of a Dynamax Pokemon, but it's one of the only Sacred Fire users, which is one of the most broken attacks in the game. It's, like, slightly weaker than Flare Blitz. I think it's 100 base power, but there's a 50% burn rate. So, maybe A tier is too high. Yeah, I'm going to put Entei in B tier, actually. Like, it's really good, but, like, we have a lot of good Pokemon coming. No, it's A tier. It's A tier, because we can put the good Pokemon in S tier. But yeah, Sacred Fire is pretty much the only thing you want Entei to do. You can run Stone Edge, you can run Snarl, you can run Assault Vest, you can run, I believe some people run Sub Leftovers. I know it ran Safety Goggles as well. It pops up every once in a while. Not a bad Pokemon by any means. Not a phenomenal Pokemon either, but yeah, Sacred Fire is very, very good. Suicune I'm also going to put in the A tier. I think the dogs all belong in the A tier. Suicune is typically the best of the three. It normally is more of a supportive role. It normally runs Tailwind, Scald, Ice Beam, and one more, either Snarl or Rest or Protect or Roar, some kind of support move. It's very, very bulky. It's a great Tailwind setter because even though it's slow, which is not normally something you love out of Tailwind setters, especially in the current format, it's so bulky that it almost always is going to get Tailwind up. So I think all the dogs are pretty strong. Sceptile is not very good. I'm going to put it in the F tier. Yeah, like not great. Blaziken I'm going to put in the D tier. It's definitely like better than some of these Pokemon, but like it's better than Arbok, sure, and like it's better than most of the Pokemon in the D tier, but it's still not good. You could maybe argue C tier for Blaziken, but I don't. Without its Mega, like it can be intimidated. Like I know it's funny because I know it's Ubers in singles, or at least it was for a time. But yeah, in doubles it's not super great. Swampert's actually pretty good. I'm gonna put Swampert in the C tier. It's done well even without its Mega form. Actually, it has better performances as a non-Mega than a Mega. So, yeah. It's got good support moves. It's like it can be really bulky. Like it can run like Scald, Earth Power, Icy Wind with Assault Vest and be really hard to remove just because it has good defensive typing and only one weakness. Well, two weaknesses if you can't freeze dry, but we're not. So yeah, I think Swampert would be alright in the current format. Mightyena is awful. Beautifly is awful. Dustox is awful. Swallow is actually really scary in singles, but in doubles it's really bad. In singles you can run like Guts Flame Orb, Facade, which is really strong because it gets stabbed, or you can run Specs Boomburst, but in single or in doubles, you have Intimidate to deal with the physical sets, and Boomburst isn't as strong because of spread reduction. So it's probably D. It's probably F tier. It's really bad. Masquerain F tier, doesn't really do anything at all. Breloom was like, it's funny because in 2013 Breloom was really good. I'll put it in the D tier. Like, it's not awful. Mach Punch, Bullet Seed, Spore protects the default set with Technician. Yeah, it's so funny because Breloom was actually really legit in 2013 and has kind of just disappeared since then. The addition of Terrains really hurts it, and if you're going to run a Spore Pokemon, you normally would run a Moongus. Yeah, I think Breloom needs really specific conditions to do well, but when it does well, it's definitely good. Slaking, I'm going to put in the D tier. Like, well, actually, okay, honestly, I'm going to put it in the C tier because if you consider that this thing is legal with Galarian Wheezing, I think maybe, like, there's definitely a strategy there. I don't know if it's a good strategy, but this thing has phenomenal stats and a terrible ability. So, yeah. I don't know. I think it could actually be legit. Like, because also, if you think about, like, Life Orb, Max Strike with Giga Impact next to Galarian Wheezing, that should be really, really difficult to stop because you don't even have Intimidate. You don't have any abilities to slow it down either. Like, you can't. And its base speed it has, like, some of the highest base stat total in the entire game. So I actually think it'd be legit in the current format. Harium is a pretty good Pokemon. It's a good, bulky Fake-Out Pokemon. It's, like, it has competition from Scrafty and Hitmontop because it doesn't have Intimidate, but it's slightly stronger. It has Guts, Flame Orb, or you can just run Assault Vest. It's not dual type. It's slower than Hitmontop and maybe Scrafty as well. Typically, like a more offensive Trick Room setter, or, you know, more normally what it's used is when other Fake-Out Pokemon aren't legal. Other Fake-Out fighting types aren't legal, but it was good in 2017. It was good in 2010. Yeah, not a bad Pokemon. Delcatty, I love it, but it's bad. Aggron, also very bad. Medicham, I'm going to put in the D tier. Mega Medicham had good stats, or like better stats at least, which made it more viable, but regular Medicham stats are not good enough at all to be really legitimate in my opinion. Plus online, an absolute waste. Volbeat and Illumise, I think are bad. Maybe you could justify using them, but I think they're pretty bad. Swallow really bad. Camerupt, I don't think Camerupt's good enough. Like, even Mega Camerupt, which is actually somewhat, like, good in theory, was pretty bad, so I don't think that, I don't think you can justify it personally. Grumpig, I like, but it's bad. Spinda, okay, so Spinda, let me tell you about Spinda. You always want to hear the Spinda strategy. So Spinda has the ability Contrary, and it's one of, if not the only Contrary user. No, probably one of. I think Malamar can do it too, but, you can use Skill Swap. So Contrary, for those of you who don't know, it swaps the changes. Like, it drops become, like, minus becomes plus and plus becomes minus. So Superpower, for example, raise your attack and defense one stage rather than lowering it, which is what it normally does. So I remember, like, building teams of this thing with, like, Mega Rayquaza and use Skill Swap Contrary into Mega Rayquaza and use Dragon Ascent and, like, you use Scarf Spinda and you boost your defenses both stages. So you run it with Close Combat to have the same effect. You run it with Overheat or Draco Meteor and raise your offense special attack to 2 stages. So I like Spinda. I'm going to put it in a D tier because there is gimmicky strategies you can do with it. They're just not good. Cacture, an absolute waste of a Pokemon. Altaria, very bad. Zango's very bad. Seviper, very bad. Cradilly, bad but not awful. Cradilly also D tier. Like, Cradilly so, like, feels so cool, and it's like such a cool, like, bulky Pokemon that's like such a good counter to water types, but like it can't do anything. It just sits there and does nothing. Armaldo also D tier. Not awful. I think Aaron Zhang lost to this at a regional. It's a system user with decent offenses, and like, you know, maybe with Max Bug it would be okay if you Dynamaxed it. Like, get Swords Dance to probably get some good coverage moves. It's not awful. Castform, very bad. Kecleon, I'm going to put it in D tier. They gave it Protean, which is a really nice ability. It gets Trick Room as well, and it has good special bulk, but terrible physical bulk. Banette, unfortunately, very bad. Tropius, very bad. Chimecho, this one hurts, very bad. Absol, very bad. Spheal, very strong. Just kidding. Spheal Cold, thank you for I didn't make this list, but whoever made it. I believe it was Blue and Politoed, but yeah, Spheal Cold is an old channel meme. Walrein, not good. Gorbis and Huntail, not good. Clamperl, actually, I would put in D tier for the record. Clamperl's okay, but these two are pretty bad. Relicanth, pretty awful. Love's pretty awful. Salamence is S tier, I think. Maybe without its Mega, it's not as good, but I do have faith in Intimidate plus Tailwind. You can also Scarf it. Although with Dragapult, I mean, like, the thing is, if you had Salamence, you could just Scarf it and beat Dragapult, and I feel like that's so valuable. Although you might lose to Togekiss. Maybe A tier for Salamence. I do think Metagross would be really good, but again, no Megas. I'm going to put these guys in S tier. I feel like they deserve S tier. They've shown, again, time and time again, that they're really good. Metagross with Dynamax. Oh, right. Salamence, you could run Moxie Salamence with Dynamax and Max Airstream. Physical Max Airstream with Stab. It'd be really strong. Like Life Orbs, Salamence, with Moxie. So actually, I think Salamence could be good. And Metagross with Dynamax as well. Setting its own Psychic Terrain, boosting its defense with Steel Spike, boosting its special defense with Quake, Max Hailstorm. It has great coverage moves. Can run Weakness Policy. This thing would be a really scary Trick Room attacker, but it could also work out of Trick Room, and it gets priority. I think these two would be great Pokemon. Regirock is not awful. It's probably about as good as some of these Pokemon. Regice is also not awful, and Registeel as well. Like, they're not terrible. Registeel's the best of the three. Like, none of them really do anything, though. They kind of just sit there. Although, you could run, like, Curse Registeel. I don't know. Because they have Clear Body, at least. But, yeah, not great. Latios, I think, is probably B tier. Same with Latios. I don't feel comfortable putting them higher, especially in a format with Dragapult. They were really good back in the day, but they've fallen off a lot. Their speed tier is no longer as desirable. Even, like, Cinderace really dunks on these guys. So, I don't think they're terrible by any means. I think they're definitely usable, but I don't think they're good either. Torterra, not great. I mean, it could be worse. The stats aren't awful. And Infernape's actually pretty good. I'm going to put it in the... What tier does Infernape belong into? I think probably B tier is fair for Infernape. It might be a little high, but it's really fast and has good stabs with Fighting and Fire. You can run Mixed Infernape with Focus Sash, Fake Out, Overheat, Close Combat, +1. I think it's not terrible by any means. Empoleon, I wish was good. I'm gonna put it probably higher than it actually deserves. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. It probably should be lower realistically, but like maybe with Dynamax you can actually run a physical steel move. So I don't know, maybe like basically the thing about Empoleon is that like it's got great typing. Like Water and Steel are two of the best defensive types in the game, and they gave it Defiant, which is really good in formats with Intimidate heavy and I guess Dynamax heavy Pokemon, but that doesn't have a great physical move pool, and the stats are like really lacking. So I think it would have potential in the Dynamax format. I definitely think it could be okay, but yeah, C tier might be too generous. Staraptor is also a C tier Pokemon in my opinion. It's good in certain formats. It hits really hard with Reckless or Choice Band. It can also be Choice Scarf, Final Gambit. I don't think it's phenomenal by any means, but I don't think it's awful either. It has seen some success. B-Barrel at least gets moody. I'll put it probably higher than it should be. Kricketune really bad, unfortunately, but it does have a nice cry. Rampardos hits really hard, but has no bulk and is hard to get going. C tier. Bastiodon is a meme in many ways. Low tier. Wormadam, low tier. Mothim, we're at low tier. Pachirisu, not awful. B tier. B tier might be too high. It's honestly probably closer to the C tier, all things considered. But I don't know. It won Worlds. Like, we have to give it some respect. So, Floatzel bad. Ambipom, not great, but not awful. That's a D tier Pokemon. Mismagius, also a D tier Pokemon. It's like so close. Mismagius is so close to being cool, but it's just terrible. Honchkrow, I like Honchkrow is the truth. Like, I think it's cool, but it's pretty bad. Like, it's got a cool ability in Moxie and Sucker Punch. Like, that combination is pretty good. You can pick off low HP Pokemon, and Brave Bird is pretty strong, and like maybe you can max Airstream with it, but its defensive stats are so bad. Purugly actually saw some play last year. I actually think Purugly's kind of decent. It's a really fast Fake Out user with Defiant, which can be scary. You could actually run Giga Impact Fake Out Purugly or Fake Out Last Resort Purugly and then Dynamax it, and that would be kind of scary. Chatot was actually one of the few Pokemon that was banned in VGC. Spiritomb, I love in concept. Gen 4 has so many cool Pokemon, but Spiritomb's not good, especially now that it's weak to Fairy. Garchomp, S tier. Out of all these Pokemon, I think Garchomp's probably the scariest. Max Quake boosting its special defense, which is decent but not phenomenal, combined with its good HP and really good defense, like they're like better physical bulk, terrifying. And with Max Dragon dropping attack, it can like basically it's like pseudo Excadrill stabs where like ground raises special defense and steel raises defense for Excadrill. Garchomp lowers your attack and it's so fast. I heard rumors it got Dragon Dance as well. I don't know if that's true or not. And it can also get Scale Shot. Doesn't that raise your speed and lower your defense and do damage? I don't know. I think it could definitely be scary. Definitely one of the best Pokemon. Carnivine, cool design, terrible Pokemon. Lumineon, Marcus brought it to region, also put in a D tier. It gets Storm Drain. And Soak, I think? Not sure. Electivire, D tier. Motor Drive, they need to make work like with Lightning Rod. Like, it's stupid to not have it redirect. Like, I don't even think the Pokemon would be good if they did that, but they would at least be better. Magmortar, also not terrible. Yanmega, actually, did it win Worlds? Maybe. Probably. Gliscor, bad. Propenpest, bad. Nobody ever uses these things in VGC. I'm gonna put Uxie and Mesprit in the G tier. I think that's probably fair for them. They're like the thing is like they're just bad Cresselia. You'd never use these things over Cresselia. I'll put Azelf in C because it's actually offensive, so it has a niche you can do over Cresselia. Heatran's a great Pokemon. I'm putting Heatran in. I love Heatran. My personal bias wants to say S tier, but I think it's probably closer to A tier. Like Heatran and Suicune feel like similar Pokemon, although Heatran's so good. I'm putting Heatran this year. I like Heatran. Regigigas, I'm doing the same thing as Slaking. I love Regigigas, but yeah, like another Pokemon that really has nice offenses and struggles a lot because of its abilities. So when you consider that Weezing now exists, I think it's actually kind of consistent. Cresselia S tier, one of the greatest defensive Pokemon of all time, incredibly bulky. Fell off a little bit in Generation 7 thanks to, like, well, Incineroar. And it probably would struggle a bit. Like, I think Dynamax definitely hurts it because it doesn't have the same staying power, but it's still such a good Pokemon. Superior, I actually like. I'm going to put it in the C tier. Contrary Leaf Storm is so cool in theory. It just, like, always feels like it doesn't work and doesn't get set up fast enough. Emboar, D tier Pokemon. I like Emboar a lot. It has a specific niche. The niche isn't that good. Kind of same with Samurott. Let's see. Whew, we're kind of schmoving. Watchog, low tier. The monkeys are some of the worst designed Pokemon, both like from a competitive and a casual standpoint, I've ever seen in my life. I do like Zebstrika. I think it's a D tier Pokemon. It's a surprise Lightning Rod user. Some people don't know it gets Lightning Rod. And it's actually pretty fast. You compare it with like a faster Discharge user. Like I think if you ran Dynamax Zebstrika and then like was able to like pair it with like Jolteon and like Discharge and then like Max Grass because it gets Grass Knot, Max Fire because it gets Overheat, and then Max Lightning, I think it could actually be kind of strong. So I'm going to put it in a D tier for that reason. Audino, very bad. Although, actually, Audino honestly isn't that bad. We'll put it in the G tier. Like, it can do some support stuff. Leaveney, I don't know what it is. Caracosta, I don't remember anything about it. Archaeops, terrible ability. Cool Pokemon otherwise. You could argue that this Pokemon also benefits from Weezing, but I'm not convinced, personally. Swanna, not very good. Sawsbuck, not very good. Alama, not very good. Electros is so cool in theory. It's just, like, its stats are really hurting it. But in 2011, when it was first introduced, it wasn't bad. But, it doesn't do enough. Creogonal, a cool Pokemon. I think either Aaron or I lost to this at Regionals. I think it was me, actually. I think I lost to this thing at Regionals, so it gets D tier. Tornadus-T, I love Tornadus-T, one of my favorite Pokemon. It's not, in VGC, it's not nearly as good. I think Tornadus-I would be broken, though. I'm putting Tornadus-I in the A tier. Prankster Tailwind in the current format is terrifying, and it also, in theory, might get Defiant at some point, and which would also be terrifying. And with Dynamax, it can actually do damage. So I think that's really good. Thundurus-T, similar to Tornadus-T, also is underplayed, I would say. And you know what? It's funny. Thundurus was kind of like the king of VGC for a while, but in Generation 7, it really fell off. So I'm gonna put Thundurus-I in the C tier, which feels so wrong. But you know, maybe that's, especially with the removal of Hidden Power, like its coverage moves aren't that good. So yeah, it's crazy because Thundurus-I was the best Pokemon for a while, or like at least in contention for it, all through kind of Generation 5 and Generation 6. But in Gen 7, they just nerfed it really hard. So yeah, maybe it's bad now. I don't know. I personally believe in it. Landorus-T, I mean, is an obvious S tier, right? I don't think anybody. Actually, you know what? These should all be bumped up a tier. I think like they're about the same as the Lotties in my opinion. But yeah, Landorus-T is the king of VGC. Like when people complain about Pokemon being overused, they're complaining about Landorus-T. It's Intimidate, U-Turn, great, like phenomenal stats. And with Dynamax, I don't want to think about this thing with Dynamax. I don't want to think about it. Max Airstream raising its speed. You can have Assault Vest, Landorus-T raising its speed and special defense. Max Bug lowering your special attack. Max Rockfall setting sand overriding other weathers. Absolutely terrifying. Max Knuckle off superpower raising attack. Don't want to think about it. And doubling the bulk. Chestnut isn't awful. We'll put it in the D tier. It could be worse. Delphox, bad. Greninja, better than Chestnut, C tier. Like this thing with Dynamax maybe actually might be okay. Maybe. Probably not though. But maybe. Vivian? Actually, you know what? With Greninja with Dynamax, I actually think would be good. I'm putting it in B tier. Like, Greninja's, like, it seems like all the good hyper-offensive Pokemon that just, like, love Dynamax because their defensive stats suck, but you can just double that. And your offensive stats are really good, and you can just increase that anyway. So, we'll put it high tier. I really like Pyroar, but it only top play in 2014, D tier. Or F tier. Vivian, I actually think it's C tier, personally. It's got Rage Powder and it's, like, pretty much a very accurate Sleep Powder, kind of like Butterfree, so we'll put it high tier. Florges, cool Pokemon, great special defense, kind of has All My Friends Are Dead syndrome. D tier. Gogoat. I love Gogoat, but it's not very good. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, it saved it, thank goodness. Woo, Furfrou, low tier. I don't think this is a Pokemon. Like, I genuinely believe that I'm being gaslit, and I think this is a Digimon. I don't know what it is. Aurorus is a Hail user. So I'll put it in a D tier. Like, it has, like, and it also has Refrigerate Hyper Voice, which is cool. Like, Ice type spread move. Does not Blizzard or Icy Wind. But it's not very good. D tier. Toucanon, I hate it. F tier. Not going to say this thing's name because I forget it. I only know what to call it. F tier. This thing hits pretty hard in Trick Room. Crabominable. But it's not very good. D tier. I don't know if these things are actually F tier, but they're not. I don't like them. Minior F tier. Kamala F tier. Bruxus D tier. Tapu S tier. Tapu A tier. Tapu Bulu. You think they're gonna give Bulu Grassy Glide? Because like a lot of these also depends on movesets. Tapu Fini S tier. Yeah, I mean these two won Worlds twice, and these two are kind of the worst versions, but still really good. The Tapas are all broken. Like they're all super broken. Nihilego S tier. Nihilego being able to boost a special attack with Max Ooze and potentially getting 2 special attack boosts in one turn is terrifying. I think Buzzwole also like doubling its bulk and like Max Bug is actually pretty good and underplayed, so I think that could be good. Max Fighting boosting its attack, scary. Pheromosa A tier as well, inconsistent, but now you can double its bulk. Although honestly, I feel like it's not a good Dynamax target because it still dies even if you Dynamax it. So yeah, that's why it's A tier. I think Xurkitree is this thing like getting like special. Like the thing is like it can't easily boost its speed, so I'm gonna put it A tier because yeah, like even though it's so strong, it's like its special attack is insane, but even saying that, like, it has a couple key weaknesses, and it doesn't have great coverage moves. It's mostly electric and grass, so I'm not going to put it super high. Celesteela S tier, holy cow. You can actually justify using offensive Celesteela. I also don't want to think about if it gets Iron Defense Body Press VHC to protect, because that's not fun or cool. Although I guess you just run Ferrothorn. Cartania with Dynamax, terrifying. Like, all the beasts, all the Ultra Beasts, I don't want to come back, because I don't want to deal with Dynamax with them. Oh, this thing sucks, though. Naganadel is pretty bad as well, so we'll put it at C tier. They're not all broken. This one's broken. Holy cow. Stakataka as well with Beast Boost and potentially Body Press. Coming off the highest defense stat in the game, I don't know. Really good. And then Blacephalon, inconsistent and not very good. D tier. Huh, so that's all the Pokemon. That's all of the Pokemon. That's all the Pokemon. Yeah. Let me know what you thought on my list. That's kind of what I like. If these Pokemon were legal, how good I think they'd be in competitive. My throat kind of hurts from talking so much. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you disagree with anything in the comments down below. And I think that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.